Good morning. It's February 21st, 2026. My name is Michael B., and I'm going to be your host on this podcast. This is going to be the second episode in what I'm referring to as the anatomy of a romance scam. And I want to frame this a little bit that although I'm your host, I'm not a professional podcaster, I'm not a professional speaker, but I have had some personal experiences with this, and I've done some extensive research into the situation and have several friends within the FBI and other law enforcement agencies that, so I feel like I can actually speak to this. But I want to let you know that this podcast is not clickbait. Okay. I'm not going to sensationalize this. Going to keep any storytelling to a minimum and not for shock value. These podcasts are for the general public. Okay. It is for education, awareness, and structural analysis. Okay. I'm not here to dramatize or deceive. I'm here to help people understand how these romance scams come about, how the operators proliferate these romance scams, the mechanics of them, and just add the description and information so that we can pass this along, talk about it, uh, because it's not spoken of. It kind of reminds me of insurance. You don't speak about it much. You don't really um, talk about it much until you need it. And that's when it becomes important. So with that, I want to jump right into again episode 2, and I want to talk about in this episode the activation stage, right? And some of the key points I want to hit is that activation in a romance scam always feels normal. All right, there's nothing extreme. There's no big promises. No money requests usually are made in this stage of the grooming process. Okay, and I use grooming with intentionality. All right, this is just steady attention. Okay, and just so that you understand kind of how these start. The key thing to remember is that it doesn't feel dangerous early. It doesn't, it just feels normal. If there is a red flag on this at this stage, and believe me, there's red flags through every every stage of this, that depending upon the situation, a lot of people just walk right by. I know I did. And afterwards, it's quite embarrassing. But to stay on topic, I just really want to let you know that if this felt dangerous early, it just wouldn't work. Your your spider sense, whatever you want to call it, would flare up, and you would go, yeah, something's wrong here. All right. So, but I do want to speak to some of the red flags that are missed here, and some of the things that you will likely see when one of these people or one of these bots is actually reaching out to you and continues to have a conversation with you just like a normal person might. And these are the things that you'll see. You're going to see rapid emotional intimacy. Like, oh, I liked your post is going to go to, you seem so intelligent. And I just love to read what you write. Okay, it's going to start going deeper and deeper and deeper, and I'm going to get into the reasons why that's happening. You're going to see some daily dependency forming. All right, first it might be just hey, how's it going? It's me. How's your day going in the morning? And you might see something in the later afternoon. All right, maybe just once a day, maybe even once every other day. But what you're going to see is pretty soon that starts to become daily. All right. Those, hey, it's me. And did you get lunch? What'd you have for dinner? Just an opening. All right. You're going to find that there's like excessive availabilities. Every time you reach out, the responses are going to be almost immediate. All right. It's not going to be like what you might do with a busy schedule with work and the things that you've got going on. You're going to see that if you send something out, that there's almost an immediate response. Okay. And then you're going to, depending upon how long it takes, and these are not short-term relationships that are being developed. All right. That's one thing I want to be very clear about. These are not short-term relationships typically. All right. Now, when I speak about these romance scams, I'm talking about the romance scams that are longer term, that take longer to cultivate, that really depend upon emotional hooks, emotional dependencies. All right. So at some point in time, what you're going to get is you're going to, they're going to request that, hey, Twitter or Facebook or whatever medium they reached out to you on is, yeah, it's just not quite as secure as, say, WhatsApp or Telegram. All right. And you're going to get that request. Hey, why don't we move this off to Telegram, for example? It's much more private. It's easier. It's just like texting, and we can do that and talk to each other in private. And so you're going to get that request. Let's go to WhatsApp or let's go to Telegram. All right. The other red flag that you're gonna see is what I call mirroring. All right. You're gonna see some real heavy cue points here. Now, I want to be clear about one thing is that with AI now, they their capability to back up with pictures and and other visuals that let's just say, for example, uh, you like to snow ski and you can have legitimate pictures on that. Well, with AI, they can do the same. All right. Yeah, this is me snow skiing in Snowbird, for example. Um, and they'll have pictures of that. Okay. And you'll talk about, yeah, I love riding motorcycles. Oh, you do? Yeah, I do too. And here I am riding mine. All right. So what you're going to see are the same values, the same music, the same faith language. Doesn't have to be, but there's an understanding of, oh yeah, I understand, your faith or what religion you belong to, and I strongly believe in that, or they either believe in it or they support it or they're part of it. All right. If you express some future desires like, I would really like to sell my car and use those funds to learn how to fly. Oh, I'd love to learn how to fly. Yeah, I want to go fishing in Alaska. Oh, I would love to go fishing in Alaska with you. Would you take me? Or Yeah, I did some homework on the flying lessons, and this is what I found for where I'm at. I'm in New York. I know you live in Seattle, but this is what I found. What did you find in Seattle? All right, or whatever, uh, wherever you might live, you're gonna find that there's just too much alignment, right? And it's just too fast. Here's the thing, right? Most friendships don't develop this quickly, especially online. This is all engineered. I can tell you that. If you like to do something, they like to do it. If you want to do something, they want to do it. If you have done something, they've done it as well, or they want to do it. And here's the hook. Would you take me? Would you teach me? I would love to do that. And oh, by the way, I would love to do that with you. So what I call this mirroring. And look, I'm not a psychologist, okay? I'm not a psychiatrist, but I think there's a word for this that's technical. It's called mirroring. So um, they'll they'll mirror you, what you do, what you want to do. This is a red flag, and it's very key. Okay, and you might hear something, the alarm bells going off in your head that says, this relationship is just a little bit too easy. All right, it's just a little too easy. We don't fight. We Everything I want to do, they want to do. It's just it becomes it's almost like a dependency, right? But when I use the word engineering, I use several words on these podcasts, and I do so with intention. And just remember, you're being the situation is being engineered, and you are being manipulated, whether you want to believe that you are or not. The problem is, as soon as you respond back to that Twitter message, that Facebook message that says, "Hey, I love your post," um, eh, the what you said about Trump or whatever, it can be whatever. I was really intrigued by that. I'm just looking for some new friends, or could you expand on your idea? There's an open ended question, or there's an invitation there that requires a response from you. Okay. And as and I'm just gonna be upfront. Uh, the older generation, all right, baby boomers, people who might have a little bit of money behind them, and ladies, I'm sorry, but you are one of the largest targets. I've spoken to the FBI on several occasions, and you are some of the most targeted audiences out there. Okay, just because you may have, I'm sorry to say, may have lost your husband. Okay, there may be some loneliness there. I'm also talking about men. Okay, but usually, men do not live as long as women do. We're catching up a little bit, but if you look at the actuary tables and you speak to the professionals, usually the husband or the man is the first to go in a relationship, and so loneliness seeps in, and because children are on with their own lives, and so and you usually have a nest egg, all right, and I'm just going to be blunt. That's all these operators, that's all these bots, that's all these syndicates are after. They are after what you have to take it, period, the end. Okay, so I just wanted to lay that out there. I'm just going to be directly honest with you on that. But reeling this back around to some of the points that I wanted to make. I wanted to talk about, and again, I'm not a psychiatrist, not psychologist. I'm not a scientist somebody who can speak to um, say being a physician or something like that. Okay, but I do want to speak to the neurobiology that does take place. Okay, and I want to talk about dopamine. Dopamine is a reward chemical. Okay, the brain associates this with reward, and each message creates anticipation, and believe me, these operators, these people, these bots, these syndicates, they understand, they're trained in how to elicit responses and what those responses do to the brain, releasing chemicals. And it gets down to that level. And I'm not kidding, and I'm not trying to make more of this than what it is, but that's exactly what's happening. Intermittent reinforcement, these quick replies, and sometimes there's silence or unpredictability. That increases attachment. Okay. And some of these are used in like gambling systems and those sequences and in gambling in general because they understand the physiology of the brain and how the brain works and what chemicals are released. It goes down to that level in these romance scams and how these people are trained. And so I need to let you know that that's happening and make sure that you're educated on that. Okay. There's oxytocin. That's emotional bonding hormone. It's triggered by intimacy language, and even digital intimacy can activate that. All right. So there's red flags here, and you begin to um, defend the person internally. Oh, they're just friends. They're just, we're just talking. Um, if you're married, like I was and am, uh, there's, it's just, oh, they live in New York. I live in Seattle. There's distance. We're safe. We're just talking. We're just friends. Believe me, the situation is engineering. It's grooming. It's manipulation. Okay. And I just need to let you know that you're gonna look at another red flag, which is what I call emotional narrowing. Okay. Um, you might run into inconsistencies, but you rationalize those. Okay. You can explain away contradictions. There might be some timeline gaps, or you stop sharing some details with others because they wouldn't really understand. Um, yeah, you're just friends, but you talk about things enough to where you might not really want to share with your significant other what you speak about with this person, and it may not even be at an intimate level. The intimacy is coming. I can tell you that the intimacy is coming. All right, but right now, um, what's happening is your judgment's becoming impaired because you are starting to really identify with this person, with the relationship, with the friendship. Okay, it's happening, and don't fool yourself that it's not. All right, so you're gonna find that secrecy, and they will defend this. This is this is just between us, okay? I just, they might have a significant other as well. They may have a family, quote unquote. Um, you never know though if this is a person he, she bought. You just, with AI, they may even ask that you have a video call and you might see the person that you're talking with or the photos that they're sharing with you. You might see that individual, but hey, ask them to stand up and turn around. Ask them to do something specific, right? But AI right now, to my understanding, if the person cannot stand up and turn around, and AI can't project that, can't recreate that. So ask them to do that. See if they will. If you're local, see if they'll meet in person. If they won't, that's another red flag. If they won't accept a phone call, oh, yeah, I can't really talk on the phone. We might have a video call every once in a while, but phone calls, yeah, I really don't want to do that, or I can't do that. That's another red flag. All right, there's just red flags everywhere on these romance scams. I just can't tell you how many that there are, and the interesting part is you're going to walk right by them. You're going to walk right by them. And that's the other cue that I really want you to pick up on. And it's even starting at this phase of the attachment. Okay. This is an emotional attachment. All right. That's why you see so many people with advanced degrees, people with masters, people who are white collar, um, who are getting scammed. And it's not until afterwards that they understand where the intellectual part picks up on it again. So they are hooking you. These operators are hooking you through emotional responses. And that's why it's so difficult to see, the hormonal releases in the brain that basically trigger those centers and make things feel right, make things feel all right. All right. Those things are critical, and you're going to rationalize the red flags away. That's the rational part, but quite honestly, it's irrational at this point. Okay. It just is. So as we wrap up on this, I just want to go through a few more points. All right. Um, I, and here's kind of the cue sequence. These mostly start with like a casual hello, that innocuous message. Hi, this is Linda. Is this Roger? Oh, I'm sorry. I had the wrong person. Well, you seem nice, and I'm looking for some new friends. Um, can we talk? Or are you open for a discussion? Okay. So it's an opening, and it's looking for a response. And let's reel it back uh, to the beginning, right? When you were a child, when you were growing up. Hey, don't be rude. I mean, not to, don't talk to strangers. Of course, we got that. But there were other cues, right, that our parents instilled in us. Hey, if I'm here, right, don't be rude. If you're spoken to, speak back, and be cordial. All right, that's conditioned in us from the time that we're small, and we need to think about that. We need to know about it. We need to realize and be cognizant of that. Okay, so again, cue sequence, casual hello, just an open-ended Very innocuous message. Hi, where are you from? I'm from, or hi, where are you from? And there's no other I'm from. It's just open-ended, and it all they're looking for is for you to respond. And let me say this, once you've responded, you're in trouble. You may not know it. They have the rule book. They know the game. You don't. I'm just going to throw that out there. You don't know the rules. You don't know the game. And you're in danger as soon as you go, yeah, hi, this is Mike. Or hi, this is Bob. Or hi, this is Cindy. Okay. As soon as you respond back, you opened a door that you do not want to have open. And I can't stress that enough. All right. You're going to find shared interests again. Uh, they're going to go from however many times you might talk to each other during the day. They're going to go to daily contact and then multiple daily contact. There's mirroring involved. Oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Would you do that with me? Would you take me to Alaska to go fishing with you? You're going to find that there's emotional dependencies. Oh yeah, I'm coming off a bad divorce. I've lost my child to my significant other. They left me standing out in the rain with no coat, no money. I'm telling you, that that is part of it. Oh, no kidding. Well, I would never do that to you. Oh, you wouldn't? No, I wouldn't. That's because you're a good man, or that's because you're a good woman, or that's because you're a good person. Believe me, those ego strokes are coming, and there's a reason why they're there, and that's biological as well. Okay. Um, there might be some mild inconsistencies in your conversation, but what my point is there is that you're going to start to defend this person. Um, if they ask to move to Telegram or WhatsApp for additional privacy, that's coming. I'm telling you, that's coming. All right. So just another red flag. So be cautious about that. All right. So I want to wrap up this podcast. Okay. I'm going to have a series of them. I'm going to try and do one a month. Again, I'm going to keep this educational. I'm not going to sensationalize this. I do have a personal story in which I got involved, but I am not going to approach this from a victimhood standpoint. I am going to speak to as many people as I can because in speaking with the FBI, which I have done more times than I care to tell you, this is an epidemic. All right. This is epidemic, and those are not my words. That's the FBI's words. Michael B., this is epidemic. It's happening globally. All right. The losses per year are in the billions, not millions, in the billions. Okay. And I can relate to that, unfortunately, personally, with a situation that happened to me. And I don't consider myself vulnerable. I don't consider myself ignorant. But what I am going to say is that uh, these people are educated. They're very crafty. They don't forget anything, and you're gonna find that you will defend them. That you will uh, you will make huge mistakes. Okay, if you continue down the path with these individuals. So don't don't do that. All right. I'm just trying to uh, educate and let you know what you might see, right, with these romance scams. Now they might vary a little bit. Uh, the mechanism will be the same, but within that mechanism, you might see some variations. So just be cognizant of that. But if those intellectual cues help you to override those emotional cues that they are really starting to try and develop with you, that is what you need to pay attention to. Okay. And this activation is the preventable stage. All right. Prevention doesn't start at the bank. All right. It's not the first time they talk about investments or money. Money hasn't even come into the equation yet. Okay. Right now, they're bonding, they're mirroring, they're bonding. They need an emotional relationship with you to make this work. All right. And so, with that, I'll go ahead and close this one up. The next episode that we'll have is escalation. And basically, when this attachment, this emotional attachment, this emotional grooming becomes financial grooming, and when financial or money enters into the equation. Now, with that, I want to just reel this back quickly and just at the beginning a little bit. Look, the avoiding all of this, the monetary loss, the embarrassment, the shame of going through this, if this goes through to completion and you become a complete victim of a romance scam, they are devastating. The results are, you may as well be looking out of the epicenter of a bomb strike because there's nothing left. There's no leaves on the trees and everything's black, and you look around and you go, man, did I do this? Did I do this? What was I thinking? Those questions are going to come, and you're going to realize that you've put your finances, your family, your work relationships, everything at risk. Everything. Everything you've worked for, everything that you love, everything that you hold dear. And here's the really sad part, okay? The prevention is so simple, all right? When you see that first message, hi, it's me. Did you miss me? Hey, yeah, I live in New York. Where do you live? Or hey, I liked your post. Or yeah, I've seen some of the things that you posted on Twitter. I'm just looking for some new friends. As soon as you see something like that, I mean, as soon as you see that, that is a romance scam. That's the romance scam embryo, if you want to call it that. And all you need to do to avoid all of that heartache that is going to happen to you, okay, is delete the message, block the user, and walk away. And that's what I call it. Delete, block, and walk. Just remember those things. Do not feel guilty. Not 1 ounce of guilt. Do not feel rude, embarrassed, anything. Delete, block, and walk. And then get up and go hug those individuals, your family, the relationships that are real, the people that you love. Those are real. Those are what count. Those are what you need to preserve. And guess what? By deleting, okay, by blocking and walking, you just preserved all of those. And congratulations. We'll pick you up on the next podcast.